Welcome to the A to Z English podcast. My name is Jack, and I'm here with my co-host Xochitl, and today we're talking about nostalgia. And maybe we should define the term Xochitl before we um, go jump into the episode.
Yeah, Jack, nostalgia or feeling nostalgic. I would say it's when you feel wistful, which is another big word,
Yeah.
but you kind of long for or remember fondly, have positive memories, and reminisce about a time in the past, a place in the past, people in the past.
Hmm.
And yeah, it can definitely happen when you're feeling homesick, which is something that you feel when you move to another country and you're away from your culture, your family, your friends, your language. And it can also just be something you feel during different phases of your life where maybe you miss college or you miss high school and you miss your peers or your family. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you think of a something that you're feeling nostalgic about right now?
Yes, Jack. Oddly, well, maybe not oddly, because this was pretty much the time back a couple years ago when I was preparing to move to Korea for the first time.
Hmm.
Um, and I moved February 14th, so Valentine's Day. I
Wow.
flight. But it was around towards the ends of January when I was putting the last pieces together and packing to move to Korea to teach English. And I have been feeling nostalgic for Korea. And I am planning a trip in October.
I
Um,
know that I'm excited. We're definitely gonna we can finally meet face to face.
yes, I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny because I left my last paycheck in my bank account. I don't know, I'm sure you're aware of this, Jack. It's like you can withdraw your money in cash when you leave Korea, but when they pay your last paycheck into your bank account, you can't really transfer it to your US bank account.
Right.
So I have like my last paycheck just sitting there, so I can basically take a free flight to Korea whenever, just on my
Wow.
paycheck.
You're like a
So
spy, you have foreign bank accounts all over the place.
right, so it's like so that is convenient.
Yeah.
Um, so I have been thinking, okay, well, I should go back to Korea and get that money before they close my bank account down or
Yeah.
something.
Right.
Yeah, and so I have been feeling nostalgic, and it's funny because I think especially if you're a little bit of a romantic in life, you tend to look back fondly at things even more when you've already left them
Yeah.
than you did in the moment, and you appreciate certain things that you missed or liked about that place. For me, I didn't like my job at all in South Korea. I really hated my job. It was a terrible job.
Yeah.
But I liked my apartment. It was beautiful. And I really liked Ulsan, which is the city in the south that I lived in. Absolutely beautiful city. Bus ride 40 minutes away from the beach. And it was lovely. And I did like a lot of the food. I really like the raw salmon sashimi, bibimbap, um, doenjang jjigae, as everyone knows, that's my favorite. So I've been thinking a lot about these foods and also places within Korea. I traveled a lot just in the 6 months I was there, but just places I didn't get to go or foods I didn't get to try or things I didn't get to do that I wanted to do, like visit the palace in Seoul, or wear a hanbok. I never got to wear hanbok,
You
which is
never get to wear a hanbok.
no,
Hanbok is the traditional Korean clothes. Yeah.
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 Have you ever worn a hanbok, Jack? I'm curious.
No, I never have actually. I've never worn a hanbok.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. How can you have you've lived in Korea this long and you've never worn hanbok?
I feel like I've gone so long, I might as well just be one of those people that never wears one. I'm so
Right.
tall. Like they'll never have one my size.
That's true. You are insanely tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That does make it a lot harder. I'm short, so I don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah, you'll find one. Yeah, yeah. It might
Yeah,
be a kid's handbook, but
yeah, the one in my size, that was funny. Yeah, so I feel nostalgic, I guess, for Korea. I've almost been thinking about going back to teach because I think I just miss the independence.
Yeah.
Um, there's great health insurance. Like if you teach in Korea, you have pretty good benefits because you get the Korean national health insurance and pension, which is pretty good. And if you finish out your contract, you get like one extra month's pay at the end of your contract.
Yeah.
And they pay for your apartment. So some places you have to pay like a utility or an apartment fee. Where I lived, you had to pay like utilities. So I paid like $90 a month for utilities, and I also 90,000 won a month, which is equivalent to like 80 something US dollars.
Hmm.
And I paid my phone bill, which was only like $30, I think, a month.
Yeah.
So my expenses were like 120 plus food, and I would get lunch for free actually, on the days I worked. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I would eat lunch for free. So the benefits are actually pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, if you
Uh,
ever wanted a job in Korea, just let me know. We could find you a good school.
a good
Like there's,
school. You're making it tempting, Jack. Don't make me
I
go
know,
back
I'm
because
sorry.
I
I'm
do.
sorry.
No, you're
I'm trying
fine.
to pull you back in, but yeah.
Reel me back. Yeah, no, I do feel nostalgic for it. I think I really miss the independence also. It's like sometimes you miss a certain period of your life. You feel nostalgia for it because you have like independence and you have like benefits and a lot of disposable income because like I said, so many of your um like
Expenses are taken care of.
yeah, that you just have a ton of disposable income that you can save up and like pay off student loan debt. A lot of people do that when they move to Korea.
Yep.
Save up money to come back home and put a down payment on a house, or, just there's so many things you can do. Yeah, I am feeling nostalgic for that, especially that freedom and that independence and just the romanticization, I guess, of it. How
Yeah.
about you? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think we talked about this like maybe a few weeks ago or whatever, but there's a certain like and I'm going to use a big word here, trajectory. There's like a trajectory just means like a forward motion. And it's kind of like you start teaching in Korea, and in the beginning, everything is new and you love it. And it's so fascinating. And there's a drop, and you start to hate everything. And you start doing
Yeah,
this like, oh, this is not like my back home. It's so different and it's annoying. And then you come back up again and you realize that like, no, it's not bad. It's just different. Um,
right,
and then you kind of settle in there a little bit and you're like, I appreciate certain things like I love the food and like you said, the being able to save some money. If you have a good job, that can be enjoyable too and quite rewarding. And then you finish your year contract, and then you go back home and you get that kind of what we call reverse culture shock, where now your home country is kind of bizarre. It's like, well, this is so different than Korea. And then you start to get nostalgic for those things in Korea. But the problem with nostalgia is that I think it's kind of like looking back through rose-colored glasses. There's an
uh-huh,
idiom for everybody there. If you put rose-colored glasses on, everything appears red, kind of rosy, and it's like you just remember the good things, you know. And
right.
you forget about the things that were kind of annoying and that kind of bothered you about it a little bit. So I think nostalgia can be a little bit deceiving sometimes. I don't know. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, like there's things that as soon as I start getting nostalgic, my brain's like, oh, remember how you had, like, I've never struggled with acne and I had horrible cystic acne after a while in Korea.
Mm,
And it was really painful. Like, I didn't really care about the look of it. I was wearing a mask all the time anyway, but it
yeah.
was so painful. I hated that. It would like hurt my face.
Yeah.
One and two, my hair would like fall out like crazy. This is something that's happened to a lot of foreigners that like moved to Korea. I don't know if
Hey,
it's
tell me about it.
yeah, you're bald now. Yeah, I feel like I was going down that route. I would lose tons of hair every time I showered. And it was very weird. I've heard of that happening to multiple foreigners who move there.
Yeah.
And another thing is it can be very isolating. You're mostly making friends with other foreigners because Korean culture can be a little isolating. And it's still true that there are places, especially in smaller, more rural areas, but even in Seoul and stuff, where they don't accept foreigners, and they turn foreigners away. And it can be a very insular culture, and people kind of like you kind of sometimes when you're making a new friend in Korea, and if they're Korean, you're kind of like an accessory or a new fun shiny toy for a while. Um, and then they get bored of you because you're just a foreigner and they can't relate to you. Like that's kind of how it feels at times. I don't
Yeah.
know, Jack, have you ever had that experience?
Um, it's interesting because I mostly had foreigner friends, and then but my wife is Korean, and so I was kind of brought into a Korean family. But my wife is my best friend, so it's a little bit. I don't. I've never been really close with like a male Korean friend, Um,
Right,
so yeah, I don't really have that experience. I was just more of had my foreigner friends, and we would just run around town and go crazy and be
right.
knuckleheads. Um, but yeah, I mean the nostalgia for me, when I feel nostalgia now as at 47, it's a little bit different. It comes, it could be a smell, right? Like, let's say there's a smell, something that reminds me of a time when I was studying film in Los Angeles. I was at a film studies program, which is maybe one of the happiest times of my life. It was really just such a great experience. I was an artistically, I felt more freer than I had ever felt, and creative. We were making short films. I loved my classmates. I had really good friends, and we just really it was just one of the just maybe the best 3 months of my life. Like it was just amazing. It was an amazing experience. I will never forget that. And every once in a while, I'll there'll be a smell that will remind me of Southern California and my time there. And it hits you it hits you in the gut a little bit, It's like
Yeah.
a gut punch, like a just I don't know how to describe it, but the
Like
feeling
a
of
gut-wrenching
nostalgia.
feeling. It's a kind of it's like almost sad and happy in a way. It's like a lot of different emotions and a little anxiety.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You just wish you could jump back in there for just a day and just have that experience one more time. But you're also there's gratitude in there too because it can be kind of a sad feeling, nostalgia, because it's like you miss something and you wish you could go back there, but you're so happy that you were able to experience it. So if you can move from the kind of feeling of like regret that it's done, that it's finished, and understand that everything in life moves in stages and that you can't hold on to it forever. And that's why I think like trying to be present more, like to live in the present and right now, and just really and stop thinking about the past and stop thinking about the future and just really experience things fully in the moment will help you appreciate it later when have those feelings of nostalgia. You're like, you know what though? I have no regret. That's one thing I can say is I have no regrets about that time because I really did experience it to the fullest that I could. I really, jumped into it and participated, and I wasn't shy. I wasn't bitter during that time. I was just really fully present and enjoying the people and the experience to the fullest I could. And so but I do feel nostalgic about that. I sometimes feel nostalgic about my time in Thailand as a teacher. I remember we used to sit out in front of my apartment, and we would throw a mat down on the ground and play guitar and drink beer. And people would come over from other apartments and they would sit down and listen, and soon we had a party, and it wasn't planned. It was a completely impromptu party, but we would do that all the time and talk and laugh and play songs on the guitar and sing. And those are things that I was way too embarrassed to do back in my home country. But with all these friends who were all kind of traveler types, hippies, um,
Right.
they were
Free
okay with
spirit.
like, yeah, sing as loudly as you can sincerely, without any sort of embarrassment or shame or anything like that, because we weren't worried about looking cool. It was all about having fun. And I do miss those moments, and I do feel a lot of nostalgia for my time that I spent in Thailand. And if I were to leave Korea, I'm sure I would suffer huge bouts of nostalgia over my time here, and miss and probably more so than any other place, because I've just so many of my life experiences are connected to Korea. Having my daughter was born in Korea. She's half Korean. I met my wife in Korea. We got married in Korea. It's just a lot of those seminal moments in my life are connected to Korea. And
Right.
so,
That's your
yeah,
whole life is in Korea, basically.
yeah, half my life I have spent in Korea. And so it's such a huge part of my life that I think if I were to leave it, I really would suffer that. I think nostalgia and homesickness are very close cousins, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's like being homesick for a time or a place, kind of,
Hmm.
and
Exactly.
a place and time, because it's like those memories are all frozen and tied together, and that's always a great thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And you cannot relive those. You could try to recreate them, but it doesn't work. It's all
It's not
about the
the same.
people and the place and the time. And that's
Yep,
it. Yeah.
definitely true. Well, listeners, if you've ever felt nostalgic before, please let us know in a comment down below. Shoot us an email at a to z english podcast at gmail.com. Leave us a comment on our website, a to z english podcast.com, and join our WhatsApp and WeChat groups to join the conversation. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.